Space. The only frontier that matters. Here in podcast, we're sending our signal from space. That's what that's. You know what? Let's start that over. Space. Where Bored and Annoyed is coming from this week. We're shooting our rays to you from space as we discuss space, outer space movies. I'm Colonel Home at the Movies.
I'm Captain Jackson.
Captain Jackson Sparrow.
You're really reaching on this one. Speaking of bored and annoyed with space, though.
Yeah.
Not giving away what I thought of Ad Astra, and we're talking about space today. Space, yes. I have a feeling there are a lot of people that were bored and or annoyed with Ad Astra.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can go right on Rotten Tomatoes and kind of see where people are falling.
I have purposely avoided that for the most part. I've seen enough on Facebook to give me heart palpitations and make my head want to explode, but we'll get into that.
All right. Yeah.
I'm Jackson, and he's home at the movies. Neither of us really are captains or colonels or whatever.
But we are in space.
Yes.
Coming to you from the
our
moon.
Show, is it like, technically, is it going off into space? Like
it is.
Yeah, is that how that works? It's not radio, though. It's internet,
it's not,
right?
No, it's not.
Yeah,
there's
it's not going into space. Yeah, there's no signal.
Of course it is. Of course the aliens can hear us.
I mean, they're probably tapped into the web, the World Wide Web.
I would hope so.
Don't you think? I mean, like, some people get their internet through satellite, so like they could be beaming the signal back and forth, like an Independence Day. They could be
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
hello, Earth invaders.
Yeah, if you show up, I'm definitely going to be like that lady in Independence Day that shows up at the skyscraper with the sign welcoming you.
I just want you to know,
a beam up my ass.
I was fully intending on being there for your brethren with my Naruto running. I had to work.
Okay.
Just wanted them to know.
Yeah, that's right. Which character was that again?
The one anime character who like runs with his like hands behind his back? Naruto.
Okay.
Never watched it. Don't ask me.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. So news.
Bringing you the most important and the most entertaining news that you will get all day. It's the movie news with a couple of rabble-rousers, Jackson and Home at the Movies. It's Bored and Annoyed with the news.
What did you have for news this week?
So I saw that the whole gang is back together for Jurassic World 3 now. We've got Laura Dern, we've got Sam Neill, and
three.
And what's
Mr. Goldblum.
Mr. Goldblum, Jeff Goldblum. And speaking of Laura Dern, this is a totally off-topic remark, but I feel like I've seen Bruce Dern in like every other fucking movie or TV show that I've watched recently.
Really?
He's in everything. He was in both of the Tarantino movies I just recently watched.
Right.
He popped. He's in Mr. Mercedes season 3.
Okay.
So like he's popping up everywhere. It's like he's trying to like get those last few dollars before he.
Hey, good for him.
Yeah, it's true. I like him. Yeah. He's good.
So how do you feel about the gang getting back together?
I don't care.
Right.
I like Sam Neill, I guess. Like, it'll be nice to see Sam Neill. It always is.
My fingers are crossed, and I have so much respect for Sam Neill. It's ridiculous. I think he's a saint among men.
And you're going to lose it all for him after this?
No, I just hope that it isn't one of those things where they finally found the price is right for Sam Neill to come on board for a shitty movie. I mean, he did do 3.
He did 3, yeah.
Which was not a good movie.
I mean, I feel like he has done some garbage. I don't think he's like...
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
He probably has. I mean, everybody, I think, has.
He also did The Omen Part 3. He was the older Damien Thorne. So,
shit. I did not know that.
That's not a great movie.
Well...
But
there you go.
But yeah, Sam Neill, I like him.
I like Sam Neill.
I think he brings
a
little pizzazz to everything.
Oh
right.
my God, Sam Neill is the greatest. And Jeff Goldblum, The thing is like you have to make sure they're all in the same room. They have to have multiple scenes together again.
Well, are they just going to do the same shit they pulled with the last one where Jeff Goldblum came in and shot for one day?
If that's the thing, and it's like, oh, they were just in the trailers and they're all there for 5 minutes of screen time, I'll be wildly unhappy.
Oh, by the way, I completely missed the Jurassic World like TV episode or whatever.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to tell us about that.
Battle at something or other.
Yeah. I missed it.
Who cares?
I do.
Colin
we have a
Trevorrow.
job to do. We have to bring our opinions on this to the people.
Yeah, that's the one thing that has sucked about this podcast is some things that you want to check out all of a sudden become a job.
Right.
I guess that's a mental game.
Yeah, but that's not one you want to check out. That's purely a job. That's purely...
true. That's true. I've checked out a bunch of things that I would not have otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Fuck it. It's Jurassic World 3. Can't be worse than 2.
It could be.
It could be.
Yep.
I don't know. Sam Neill, add something. Whatever. Fuck it. You said Jonah Hill. Yeah, Jonah Hill in talks or for the Batman.
Well, so it's apparently either the Riddler or the Penguin. That's what the rumor is anyway.
Right.
But
right.
I'm assuming it's a villain role that he's, going for.
I would assume so. He could do. You remember Bullock from the animated series? He was like the cop that like hated Batman. He was like Commissioner Gordon's like right hand man.
Okay, so Commissioner Gordon might be played by Jeffrey Wright, is what I'm hearing.
Yep, and Jeffrey Wright is always a right.
He's something else. I like him.
I like him a lot. I don't know if I necessarily see him as a Gordon per se.
He's gonna, he'll be like a gruff, quiet version.
Right. Well, I mean, I always thought, what's his name? J.K. Simmons.
You think he would have been good?
I actually think he might have been slightly miscast. I think Gary Oldman is probably the best we've gotten as far as that, because I've always loved Gordon as kind of like this quiet, kind of like smaller guy.
Sure.
Well,
what's funny about that is that just goes to show Gary Oldman and how awesome he is, because he's not usually playing a part like that.
Yes. He's
usually a very like bombastic, interesting weirdo character. He's an awesome like character actor.
Everyone.
He's great.
He's great. He's unbelievably great. But yeah, Jonah Hill, do you got a preference between the two, or would you like him to play something else?
I mean, it depends. If we're getting chunky Jonah Hill, then we got to have Penguin. We got to have him play Penguin. If he's skinny, the Riddler, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not going to complain about it until I see the movie, because I'm a little tired of people just bitching about what's his name, Edward Cullen playing Batman.
Right. Well, this is the I said this on Seen It podcast, which I guested on this week.
Oh yeah, there's a plug. Yeah, for your own show.
You're welcome.
I didn't listen to it because I didn't want to hear any spoilers as far as your review for the movie we're talking about.
Yeah, Kenny, Kova, Steve, there you go. There's your plug. But yeah, I mentioned it on there. I said this is kind of like the zero fucks given movie, because they're just like, yeah, we know that Robert Pattinson sparkled for a bit. Get the fuck over it. Oh, Jonah Hill? Oh, he could only do like one thing, Mr. Fuck you. Here we go.
I think Jonah Hill's great.
I do. I think a lot of people underestimate him.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maniac. I don't know if you ever finished that.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, we reviewed it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was...
Plug for our own show.
Yes. He was great in that.
He was great. I thought he was great in the Wolf of Wall Street.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, so I do have high hopes for this. Rumors is that this is going to be based on The Long Halloween.
Beautiful.
Yeah. If they do that, that's great, because then you can get like a bunch of named actors to play these characters, because those characters basically come in for like a cameo or two.
Right.
So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Rumor is
they need that franchise potential.
They do.
So you can't put it all in one movie.
Yep. Rumor is he asked for double the money of Robert Pattinson to come in.
That's interesting. Like, he might be worth the draw, like twice the draw of Robert Pattinson.
I think you can probably make that argument.
Yeah, because if the movies you see not that Robert Pattinson's bad, it's just he does a lot of like indie shit these days.
He's more of a box office draw.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of fitting with sort of like Jack Nicholson got way more than Keaton did.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Duh.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Joker. The Joker movie will not be shown at the site of the Aurora shooting in 2012.
So this is interesting because to me, I'm almost surprised that place is still open after that. I mean, I get it, but it is freaky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is. I get it, but also at the same time, I'm like, but the Joker wasn't in that. And like, are you just not going to show any Batman movie? Like, I get.
Oh, the Joker wasn't in the third Batman, but the guy dressed as the Joker or thought he was dressing as the Joker. He like painted his face. Was that what it was?
I forget. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the connection.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean,
his hair was green or purple or something. He was a fucking psycho.
I mean, it's tough because like I get like there are people that are upset about it. There are people who are probably still dealing with the trauma of what happened.
That's a crazy fucking story. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, they do what you want. The nice thing is there's enough theaters. It's not like anybody who wants to see it in that area isn't going to be able to see it.
Absolutely.
So I guess who gives a shit, right?
When you put it in that light, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To me, it's kind of like it is just a movie, but I get to those people it might not be.
Right. Well, and I mean, I guess if you wanted to, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, I don't have a strong opinion either way on this, by the way. I don't know what you need. It's their choice, what they want to do.
Yeah.
But I guess if you wanted to take the other side of the coin, you could say, well, we've let him win because now we're letting his reign of terror affect what movies will play at the theater. You know what I mean? It's almost like...
It was almost why I didn't want to bring this up on the show because you can already hear the political pundits talking about it. And we've brought up the 2 points. And I don't think either one of them has more of a leg to stand on than the other.
No, I don't think this will get talked about, though, that much.
I hope not.
Is my guess.
I think the people that would be up in arms about it will realize, like, oh, these are shooting victims. Yeah. Maybe I'll just keep my mouth shut on this one.
I'd love to hear what their families have to say about, like, how did this happen? Why did they make this decision?
Right.
Did they play like Batman versus Superman in that theater? I'm assuming they did, right?
I think they probably
This is a Joker connected thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a fucked up world we live in. I remember going to see The Dark Knight Rises that weekend and being like, this is fucking weird. There was just a weird feeling in the audience.
It was somber. It was a somber viewing. Yeah, that was one of those few times where you're coming in with certain baggage to the movie that is not the movie's fault at all.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess one of the on a happier note, Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit won the what was it? The
TIFF
People's Choice Award at TIFF.
Okay.
And also, I guess Taika was also awarded like kind of like a lifetime achievement kind of award.
That one is kind of having the same speed bumps on Rotten Tomatoes that Joker's having, right? Where it's kind of dropping.
I think, well, it's actually rising from what I saw.
Okay.
It started out high, then there was an initial backlash, and then after TIFF, it started going back up again.
So this one's interesting, too, because I can't decide if reviewers, and I haven't read any of them, I just see the percentage, but I'm wondering if it's not people offended that are just being douchebags.
I think it's people who are offended, and I think it's people probably missing the whole damn point of the movie, right. That we're making fun of, fascism and Nazis.
Sure.
And that's okay. And if you have a problem...
No, it's not, Alex. There are Nazis out there. You can't offend them.
Yeah, well, fuck Nazis. Bold
that's
stance.
Strong. Yeah.
I don't get it. I'll have to wait and see the movie.
Right.
But
it looks fun.
I do find it really odd because I look at Taika and I'm like, the dude has not had a movie that he's made be out of the 90s as far as percentages on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty impressive.
And then all of a sudden he does I think something probably I think after we see it, we'll probably say it's one of the more daring movies that have been made in the last 10 years. And all of a sudden people are like, oh!
Just because it's Hitler?
Because it's Hitler and, that's a touchy subject. And it's like, but we're not trivializing anything. We're we're putting a new spin on it and we're putting it in the context of children. But anyways, I think the real story here is that it won the People's Choice Award, which really lets you know, I think it lets you know the quality of it, for one. And for two, all but one of the last 10 winners of this have been nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
I think the only one that wasn't was like some Iranian movie or some...
Those fucking Iranians.
Yeah. Well, I think the only reason that might not have been nominated was because it was foreign.
Oh, well.
I mean...
Sons of bitches.
And it wasn't black and white from Mexico.
I'm going to say that the Hitler buddy movie, the Hitler imaginary friend movie, will not be nominated for Best Picture. I'm going out on a limb.
I hope it is.
I'm just going to say it's not. And that's no judgment on how good it will be.
Right.
I'm just going to go ahead and go out there and say that.
I don't think that the Oscars are a judgment on what's the best that year. I don't think they have. I don't think. Oh, I mean, we could talk about Game of Thrones winning Best Drama.
Oh, my God.
We could talk about that if you want.
That is so stupid.
I mean, can I just say, like, I'm out? Like, kind of for good now? Like, that's just kind of like, all right.
Well, and it's funny because they do that and then they gave like Best Supporting Actress to that blonde girl who's in Ozark, who's like really good, and I never would have thought they would even know her name.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't understand what's going on.
How can you possibly give Game of Thrones Best Drama when Dark exists?
Yeah, that's true. But is Dark even like in the? It's not even considered. It's a foreign show that none of them watched, right?
Which is the whole damn point, right? I mean, that gets to be the point of these award shows. Period. Is like, well, you can't get somebody who's watched everything. It's too much TV. So
it's so true, man. It is a joke that one. It's a joke that Peter Dinklage won. I like Peter Dinklage, but it's a joke that he won this year.
Yep. It's a fucked up world we live in. It's
not even probably one of the top 3 to 5 series that I watch. No, maybe not top 10. I've watched a lot of series, I suppose. It wasn't great.
No.
It shouldn't be nominated for anything.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah. It's just how it is. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You want to go into main topic? Space movies.
Yeah, let's talk. Well, let's just kick it off with Ad Astra.
Okay, Ad Astra.
Yeah. So I absolutely fucking loved this movie.
Yep.
It does have one huge fatal flaw, though. That almost destroys the movie. You're gonna guess?
No, I'll be really interested to hear what your fatal flaw is. I did not love this movie.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. I gave it like a C+, B-.
Okay.
I think that it looks great.
Yes, it does.
It has a nice mastery of tone.
Yes, it does.
The music is pretty damn great.
Yes, it is.
And I like the cerebral nature of it.
Sure.
I like how it's really a father-son story with sci-fi elements.
Correct.
My main problems come in the third act, and it's not that the third act is bad, it's that it's predictable.
Okay.
That was my main problem. Is I got to the end and the whole third act, I'm just knowing how it's going. And I think that's where this movie, nailing the tone really helped it. Nailing kind of the pacing up to that point was really good. There are moments of real suspense, but it's where at the end you feel the length. It feels longer than it is.
I did not feel like it was long.
Okay.
If this movie didn't have the narration over the top of it that basically implies that its audience is either too stupid or too bored to pay attention to what's going on, this would be, in my opinion, a masterpiece.
Okay.
This is on the level. This is like, I imagine, have you ever watched the original Blade Runner?
Yeah.
With the narration.
The narration is it's
that's
really,
what happened here.
Yep.
They had a movie. Like, if you're paying attention,
you get
really
it.
All the exposition is done in like one scene at the beginning. And the rest of the movie is just a visual experience. And all the actors are good enough to portray the emotional happenings without him having to tell you. There's a point in this movie where a character, a little side character gets scared and like he looks down at the ground and his facial expression is that of fear. And literally Brad Pitt goes, he's scared.
Right.
Like he tells you.
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like there is no fucking way that narration was planned.
There was something second act after what you're talking about where he said something and I was like, yeah, but we already kind of knew that.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason it's there.
Some
you
of it
knew
is,
it.
Right. Some of it isn't horrendous. There was a line when he goes to the moon. I mean, not a spoiler. It's a space movie. He goes to the moon at one point. And he's like, my father would hate all this. He would tear it all down. And that was a moment where I was like, okay, like we don't know too much about Tommy Lee Jones in this so far, so I was fine with that one.
Yeah, but that doesn't really work into what you need to know about him. Like, okay, that might add a little layering to his character, sure, but realistically, everything you need to know about him is shown to you like through the visual flashbacks and from the characters who tell him what the fuck is really going on.
I would say that added a little bit because up to that point we've heard hero, 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 and it's the first thing where it's like, oh, maybe he had a little bit of a violent or angry side or just a distaste for certain things.
Well, and that's where I think the movie is a fucking great, is its thematic elements with the father-son relationship, the idea of, how like when you're a kid, as you get older, when you first think of your parents, they're like gods almost. And as time goes on, the layers are kind of peeled back and you see more of the faults. Yeah. And in this movie, it's like that's happening in a rapid speed for Brad Pitt's character. That was great. I can't get into the other thematic stuff, I don't think, without...
So you're a high B, low A.
I'm an A.
You're straight A. Okay.
It would be an A plus, like 99.9% if that narration wasn't in the movie. Okay. Because this is the kind of thing where like 2001 came out, I would imagine, I can't imagine if the fucking main character in 2001 narrated the entire movie.
Sure.
It would ruin the movie.
Sure.
But I'm sure there are audiences out there who are bored to fucking tears when there's no dialogue for 25 minutes. And this would have been a movie like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are long stretches of this where it's got that 2001 space feel. Like even the action, if it's in space, there's no sound. It's all a visual experience. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the action in this, like the few little bits they had, I thought were really intense. It went to show that when it was peppered into the movie, they did a really good job. It opens with like this really cool scene where he's like on this antenna that reaches out into the outer space.
Yes.
So that was great. There's a great like moon scene.
The moon scene is legitimately great.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
It manages tension in a very nice, believable, organic way.
Right.
Things feel real. And there are fun things in it, like from a sci-fi perspective of like, of course this would happen. And it feels very believable. And I mean, that's all kind of like, I don't know, window dressing. It's not necessary, but it's good. It's fun.
Well, yeah. And then there's also things in it that are completely unrealistic and would never happen in real life. And that's what the Facebook people are pissy about. But it's like they miss the entire point of the movie, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because that doesn't really matter in this.
Okay.
You could have done this story in 1,000 different ways. It's all about the theme, and it's all about like, okay, well, I don't really care if it's not realistic if Brad Pitt can really do this.
Right.
Because this is a movie, and the whole point of this isn't Interstellar where they're going to sit there and talk about like scientific, research and all the shit like black holes and matter and all that crap. It's just not that kind of a movie. You could have done this with someone on a ship who went into, you could have, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people are missing the point of this one.
I get it. I also think that there are a couple things that happen in this that are not fitting with how realistic it was up to that point in the movie.
Okay.
Those are but they're nitpicks. They're not my main problem with the movie.
Got it.
Do you want to do spoilers?
Spoolers. Let's do spoilers. Yeah, no, let's do spoilers. Okay, so I do want to get this out there. This is a spoiler. But the thematic element that I really, really, really loved about this movie was the idea that like everything you need is right there in front of you. And if you get obsessed with whatever your fucking passion is, you know, it's not actually out there. Like your fulfillment is not out there. It's not in the stars.
Right.
It's not, you know, there's nothing else out there. You need to pay attention to your shit.
Yeah.
And I fucking love that. And I love the idea that Brad Pitt was like following in his footsteps.
Yeah.
It's just, I loved it, dude. And I love the ending. I fucking loved it.
So I like the theme. Like I said, my problem is that it became predictable. You started hearing, you know, a lot of like looking for life out there. We're trying to find life out there. And it was a very obviously this message or this metaphor for disconnection with other humans and like you said, prioritizing goals over people. And it became very obvious that was Brad Pitt's goal. It was his arc. So when he met his father, he was becoming him. He was just like the fact that his heart rate never went over 80 was a nice sort of indicator of how detached he was from his own surroundings at any given moment.
Pretty sweet little touch they added, I thought.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it. It's a ticking clock, and it's there to establish the fact that once his heart rate goes over 100, it means something. Without that, it means nothing. But my problem became, like I said, at the end, I knew kind of beat for beat how things were going to go. I knew his father was not going to make it because his father represents everything that Brad Pitt was starting to realize was bad about himself.
I mean, sure, but I would argue again that a lot of the reason it's predictable is because the fucking asshole is telling you what's happening every 5 fucking minutes of the movie.
I mean, it's hard to disassociate that, but I think I can't remember how much of it is something.
That is a completely different movie if you remove his narration entirely.
I'll be interested if they do a cut like that. I mean, because we're living in the age of, you know,
someone will. I would imagine.
But yeah, my problem is that I knew that he was going to survive because his arc was reconnecting with Liv Tyler because it was about creating human attachments.
Oh, there was a nice little amount of Liv Tyler.
Oh, that was so great. I remember we saw the trailer. We were just like, oh, fuck.
God damn it. I know.
And she was in it for like the perfect amount.
And it was her role. That was the role she was born to play.
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah. I liked... I actually really liked her bit where she's like, I'm my own person with my own fucking thoughts.
Right,
and that was their one F-bomb. I liked that.
They utilized that.
They used the one F-bomb for the PG-13. Yeah. Just, it's a good movie. But like I said, at the end, it was just biding my time because I'm like, I know how this ends. I know where he's going. Like there's no other place for him to go. And so, and it did become a little bit like, it wasn't even just the ending. It was about halfway through. I was like, all right, I kind of get it.
Sure.
And I don't dislike your message. Your message is good, but it's not like deep.
Yeah, but there's I disagree.
I didn't think it was
deep. I 100% disagree.
I didn't think it was deep. It's like deep in like the Inception way. Like, ooh, are dreams really dreams?
I don't agree with that.
I mean, you don't have to.
I mean, I think that this movie is metaphorically, and I think it's on the nose because of the narration, but the actual movie, like the themes of the movie are not things that are brought up enough. I mean, there's a few different ones going on. There's shit going on. There's the whole aspect of following in your father's footsteps. There's looking at your father like he's a god. And then there's also the concept of, well, everything you really need is right there in front of you. So that's 3 pretty deep thematic elements there. I would argue it's deeper than any other movie on my top 5 this year.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking of Alita and like Hotel Mumbai and all that shit.
I mean, but
it is on the nose.
It's a theme heavy movie. So of course that's going to take center stage.
Sure.
It's one of those things. I've thought about this a lot. You know, I think it depends on I think it depends on how much you, and this is not an indictment or a judgment call on anybody. I think it just depends on how much you've actually thought about your relationship with your father.
Sure.
Because I've thought about this a lot with my dad about, and it is something that I feel like as you get older, you realize you're becoming your father. And not in ways that you probably would like. It's not always
a good thing.
Yeah. And
sorry, Dad.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, they're their own people. Like you said, they're their own people.
Right.
They've got pluses and minuses like anybody else. And, I thought a lot about it. So when I was like about about halfway, 2/3, I was like, all right, I get it. And I agree with you. Like, these are all great points.
But you were done at that point.
But I get it.
Yeah. Well, at least it has something to say.
It does. Oh, yeah. I mean,
unlike a lot of movies that don't have shit to say.
There was a really interesting moment, though. Like, maybe it was the moment where I was like, ooh, the ending could be something I'm not expecting, actually. But then it didn't turn out to be the thing.
What was your guess there?
Well, I thought it was going to be son versus father. Like, duel
Christ.
kind of thing. And the only reason I thought it was because, one, I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is so clearly unhinged.
He's fucking great.
He's really good in this. He's really good in this.
He's awesome.
But his moment where he says, I came out here into space and I never thought about you or your mother.
Yes.
Or your little pathetic lives or something like that. He called them like that. And I was like, and I asked the guys on Seen It podcast if they believed him or if they thought it was a lie he was telling himself. Sure. And, they were like, well, they had kind of thought it wasn't real. They thought it was something he had to rationalize. And I thought it was real because that's what Tommy Lee Jones was. That's what he represents in the movie.
He was never fulfilled by any of that shit.
Yes.
Just like Brad Pitt wasn't fulfilled by his relationship with his wife.
Right. It was my favorite part about the ending, actually, was that moment.
That was great.
That was so great.
Now, here's the question I would have is like, clearly Brad Pitt, like, he does care about Liv Tyler, but if he was in his dad's shoes where he'd been doing this and obsessing over it for 10 years, odds are I would assume he would kind of turn out the same way. I mean, that's kind of the...
I thought that was kind of the point of the fact he gets on that rocket and he ends up accidentally killing everybody. So all of a sudden he actually kind of is in his father's shoes after he finds out about it, which, I mean, it's not a bad script by any stretch.
Oh, no, I thought...
It's just a little, like you said, it's a little on the nose.
It's very on the nose, and the narration doesn't help. The one part with not counting the narration that I thought was too on the nose was the let go.
Yes, that was that was
so that's
very,
too on the nose.
Very,
but like, if you think about this movie, just like stop and think about what this movie would have been without that narration, because he's telling you all this shit throughout the movie.
It is very hard to.
And imagine if you only had like, okay, the exposition scene at the beginning where they sit him down, they say your dad's out there, your dad was a hero, blah 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 blah,
right.
And then he ends up on Mars and he learns a little bit more, and then literally you're seeing flashbacks. I mean, you would have gotten enough information just from the video he watched of his dad,
right,
to like kind of understand that. And then he gets there and then it's like his dad's a fucking monster, right. And you don't have Brad Pitt like working through this with the fucking derps in the fucking audience that can't pay. And I get why they did it. I do.
Would you cut all narration or just
I'd have to watch it again.
Okay.
I'd have to watch it again.
Because I feel like there was some that I actually did not mind.
It just overall, it's very ham-fisted, and it's very clear that the reason it's there.
Yes.
It's very clear that was a boardroom decision of them saying, well, wait a minute here. Like, what is this? Because you'll never, I had a buddy on Xbox who mentioned, like, you'll never see another 2001 again, unless it's like a Kubrick-esque director,
right,
who can actually do what he wants to do.
Yeah, with cachet. Yeah,
because the problem is you come out with something like that now and they're going to say, who the fuck is going to enjoy this?
Right. It reminds me of the director of Drive, blanking on his name.
Oh, yeah.
Nicholas Winding Refn. Guy who likes to do lots of silent shit, but his movies don't cost more than $40 million.
Right.
So that's why he can get away with it.
Now, here's so what's funny about this movie, too, is this director, James Gray. I think the only other thing I've seen of his...
I know what it is.
Was The Lost City of Z.
Oh, no.
With
oh, come on. You've seen X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Did he directed that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even on his Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm pretty sure.
But either way, yeah, that's terrible. But The Lost City of Z was a critically acclaimed movie.
Shit, never mind. That was somebody else. That was that was Gavin Hood.
Yeah, thanks for correcting yourself this time.
Never mind.
But anyway, he directed The Lost City of Z, and it's funny because the guy who I went and saw this one with, I actually went and saw that one with a couple of years ago, or might have been even last year, and it was critically acclaimed, kind of a boring movie. I thought it sucked.
Wow.
And this one I fucking thought was great.
Right.
So this guy, I'm excited to see what he does next.
Can I bring up the nitpick?
Sure.
I have?
Yeah. What's the nitpick?
It's I don't know if it's a nitpick or not. I mean, it is, but it's kind of big. So, anyways, he rockets himself back to the ship, and then the nuclear explode. Yes,
the tray.
Yeah, which I kind of liked and kind of didn't because it's like, well, this is kind of like really unbelievable.
It looked cool.
But it's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was okay with it.
Yes.
I wanted to like it more than I did.
Okay.
I think 20 years ago I would have loved it.
20 years ago you wouldn't have been able to make it through the movie.
Well, 15 years ago.
Do you know what I mean? Though,
right.
like it's not. You're not going to show this to a 12 or 13-year-old, and the ADD will be strong in that one.
Right. Yes.
During that movie.
Yep.
So, but yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
But then the nuclear explosion is used as the propelling thing.
Sure.
So that's got to take a real big leap because science is all, space travel is angles and measurements and all this stuff. So that was kind of like okay, maybe. But then the fact that he shows back up and he's still in the spacesuit that he was in.
Right.
But we had established earlier that it took, it says it with the onboard computer says it's going to be like 3 months thereabouts,
sure.
like 90 some days.
Okay.
He's still in the same spacesuit, but we never saw him like hook up any sort of like life support or feeding tube like he had in the last one. And so I was kind of like, wait, did he just sit there for 3 months? In the suit?
I mean, we don't know what speed he went, and I would argue it doesn't matter. See, this is where we're going to diverge because to me that doesn't matter.
But it's just one of those things for a movie, and I get what they were going for. Okay. I know exactly why it was there. It's because they wanted the shot where he's riding and he shows up on Earth.
Yes.
So you think maybe he's dead because he starts out in space, and then all of a sudden you see the light from the planet, and then he enters the atmosphere. They wanted that shot.
Well, it's got to be in every space movie.
Right.
I was just thinking, I am so happy that they did the Hollywood ending with this one. In a sense.
Like I said,
that they bookended it with the scene where he's not paying attention to her and she storms out of the house.
Yep.
And then he's waiting for her at the cafe or the bar or whatever it was. That I loved. And typically I would say I'm not a sucker for that, but it worked in this for me.
It worked because, like I said, the movie sort of hinges on him making... Right. It's not just about making the realization and then dying. It's not about saving Earth. All of that, you notice, like, we never actually even talked about the flares.
It doesn't matter.
It's not about that.
Correct.
The movie is all about him finding connection, finding happiness where he's at with humanity. It was the whole idea of he even says it in his narration about like, here we are fighting over resources again. And like, that is the whole damn point about like, go along or not go along to get along, but just get along, find peace where you're at.
Right.
Find
joy
in other people.
It was interesting to see a sci-fi movie that kind of has like an anti-
space travel message.
It did in a sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, and then I keep talking about things that I can't fight the feeling I had at the end of the movie, which was, it was pretty good. But at the same time, I keep on bringing up things I like about the ending. Like the whole, like, you didn't fail, Dad. We now know we're all we have. That was great.
Yeah.
I loved that bit because it speaks it's one of those things, it's so on the nose, it speaks volumes, it's multiple meanings.
Well, I will be the first to admit that's on the nose. I like on the nose shit once in a while, though. See, it's funny because I think about like this and then I think about like Annihilation.
Annihilation
Our first episode that we recorded.
Go and listen to that. Those young tykes.
So that is the opposite of this.
Right.
That is like, your brain is in fucking overdrive
That's
to
why
figure
I
out
loved
what
it.
the fuck, which is great. And I think that just by removing the constant expositional dialogue in the form of his pointless fucking narration, you almost make you make your audience actually reach a little bit for what's going on.
Right.
Because even like Blade Runner, when you watch the cut that doesn't have the narration, like it is a pretty clear cut story.
Yes.
But it's a challenging watch.
I would say,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I would say it's one of those things I've always sort of thought about. Like they have these stoic, strong, silent type characters, and I look at movies like you're saying, and like Drive, one of my favorites.
Sure. Yep.
Ryan Gosling, you're not let in. You're not let in by any inner monologue. It always kind of keeps you at a distance, but like you said, it makes you work. It keeps you intrigued because you're never in his head.
Right.
He is a stone wall. You just have his expressions to go off of.
Well, and I would, and Brad Pitt's great in this.
You
didn't need. I mean, he cries when he needs to cry. He looks pissed when he needs to look pissed. All the characters, it's pretty obvious where they're at just by watching their body language. I don't know. It was a strange. I was literally getting angry in the theater, like frustrated. That scene when he fucking says he's scared.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm offended.
I didn't know why that one was so blatant. I don't know why it was there, because it's not like, oh, look at Brad Pitt, so observant.
I think it's because once you make a decision to have the movie revolve around that narrative piece, the narration, then you have to use it. It has to be like, it's a characteristic of the movie at this point, right? So you can't just like have him not do it for a long period of time and then bring it back. I
think you probably could.
I would say you can't. I would say you can't. You've made a decision where this is going to be the style of this movie. This is going to be a POV movie from Brad Pitt, and we're either going to, have sections of the movie where he kind of introduces us to, the second act and the third act and whatever's going on, or the movie's just going to have his narration and we're going to ride along with him through his thoughts.
Right.
Like that was the quote unquote artistic decision made, is what I'm guessing. But I think it's a disaster.
I think you can still argue that particular narration could have been cut out and you keep all the rest and you don't lose the narration. That wasn't
especially pointless.
Yeah, that one was really bad.
But no, I love this movie. I do want to mention a couple action bits though. There was the monkey scene.
That was really great. It was a lot of fun.
The only thing I didn't like as far as like the pulse pounding action. I wasn't huge on how he snuck into the rocket ship. I didn't really understand that.
Not a big fan of that one.
But I did like once he got in and he killed the 3 other like crew members. That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
The chase scene with Donald Sutherland on the moon was great.
Probably favorite action scene was that one.
Holy shit. And the opening too. I mean, this is a gorgeous movie.
Yes.
I fucking loved it. This would be a lock as my favorite movie of the year without that narration.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. Like
I get it.
It has a shot at it. I really think it breaks the movie to an unforgivable. It's still an A, but you could have had something like special. You could have had something where it took a lot of balls to make a movie like this. That narration just removes its balls and it neuters the movie, in my opinion.
No balls in space. The movie.
There you go. But yes, I'm very excited. I would hope, because I don't think I'm alone on this. I would hope that when a Blu-ray comes out that there's an option to remove that, because I think it would be interesting.
I think you have to start a hashtag.
Hashtag no balls in space.
Yeah, hashtag no balls in space.
But yeah, there you go. I guess that's our review. But yeah, space movies.
Yeah. We're not going to discuss like Star Wars, those types. We're going to discuss realistic outer space movies.
Sure. Like heady sci-fi.
Right. Like we could throw an Interstellar in there, Apollo 13, anything where it feels plausible.
So it can be outer space that's real, and it can be outer space that's sci-fi, but more realistic sci-fi.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is your favorite space movie, out of curiosity? Do you have a favorite?
I really dig the shit out of Sunshine.
No, I don't think I've ever seen it.
Sunshine is a blast of a movie. God, I don't know. I'm trying to think what's another really great. I mean, 2001 is a good movie. It is long. It's
only 2 hours and 15 minutes.
It feels really long.
I'll see, there we're getting a window into the mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's just that it's more of an idea movie than a character movie.
Yes. It's not a character movie at all, I would say.
Exactly. God, what about you? What's your favorite?
I was actually thinking about this. This one will make my list, but I love 2001. That's probably my favorite. But I know that, and it's funny because I know that that's just the fucking, I'll get shit for that because it's just the easy pick. But I liked Moon.
I never saw Moon.
Moon is great.
Okay.
That's the one where, what's his name? What's that actor's name? He was bad guy in Iron Man 2. Not the big bad guy, but he's great in everything.
Oh man, his name is right there.
I feel really stupid.
He's in
that I don't know
Jojo Rabbit.
Is he in Jojo Rabbit?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Kevin Spacey's in that movie.
Okay.
But oh god, this is gonna kill me. You guys are. I hope you leave this in.
I'm leaving all of it in.
Look like an embarrassment.
This is a minimalist episode as far as editing goes.
Sam Rockwell, duh.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam Rockwell's basically stationed on the moon, and he's like gathering helium as a natural resource, and he's by himself, and he stays for his X month term. Yeah. And then a new person comes in, and the only other person really in the movie, in a big chunk of the movie anyway, is Kevin Spacey as the robot, who like the droid who's with him.
I enjoyed The Martian.
Did you enjoy The Martian?
I thought The Martian was pretty good.
It was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. That wouldn't be a favorite of mine, but that's
It's not a favorite.
The
it's
Matt
just
Damon one.
Yeah, it was just enjoyable. It was an enjoyable time.
Yeah, so here's an example. Like The Martian is one of those like science fiction, or they're real science-y science fiction movies, right? Yep. So Ad Astra is the other kind where science fiction, really the space idea, that's just the backdrop. That doesn't really, it's not as important, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what about like Interstellar, which kind of tries to be both?
It tries to be both. Okay. Interstellar was kind of where I started realizing I was falling off the Christopher Nolan bandwagon. Okay. Dark Knight Rises kind of disappointed me. Then that one came out, and I was like, "Wow, you are really far up your own ass on this one." And then
you did not like the World War II one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he hasn't made a movie that's impressed me since The Dark Knight. Well, I mean, I like Inception, but I don't think Inception is anywhere near as good as people.
I think Inception is arguably his worst movie.
Whoa, I would disagree with that. I think Interstellar is worse. Interstellar to me is worse because from a structural standpoint, it's a 4-act movie, and what is the third act really drags the whole movie down. The detour to find Matt Damon. Sorry, I guess spoilers.
Well, I guess this is going to be the Christopher Nolan, Bored and Annoyed with Christopher Nolan episode. We can turn it into that.
I'm just saying, that's my bit on that movie is that and the whole like, Marv, I'm your ghost, Marv. I was in the bookshelf.
I mean, I didn't mind that. That was a little wacky at the end, but the music is great. The music's fucking great. The fact that it is a little headier as far as like the science fiction dialogue, like what they're talking about, the issues. There's a couple really cool, neat ideas in that movie.
You know what I find annoying about it though? And it's something I've been thinking about sci-fi space movies recently, which is we can't do anything deep if there's actually an alien. So when the reveal that it was Matthew McConaughey the whole time, I was like, of course it is. It couldn't be some interdimensional being that's going to teach us something.
Well, the interdimensional being, or was it us from the future that built it was us, right?
From the future. Okay. And I was like, of course it is. Because of course it is. It's so Christopher Nolan, and it's so just, there's no aliens, it's just us and humanity.
I really do like me some Christopher Nolan.
I do, but
I'm a fan. Yeah, that one's a whack. Like I've got a buddy who loves that movie. He also thinks AI is the greatest movie ever made, but
never seen it.
You don't. Just don't. But yeah, I don't know. Space is funny because it's easy also, I'd say, to pick Apollo 13, and I really wouldn't have an argument against you because that's just a great fucking movie.
Yes.
I believe that's Ron Howard, and I believe that could easily be considered one of his best top 3 movies.
Top 3 easily. Yeah, right. Easily. I think it's pretty easily top 2. I think Rush is probably the only other thing I've seen him do that's
so good. That's
close, I think.
Oh, Rush is so good.
I think we're forgetting like a real classic, Space Cowboys.
Okay, yeah, that's Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, Space Cowboys. And Clint Eastwood?
Clint Eastwood.
And
Clint
who's the
Eastwood
other old
directed it.
Oh.
I didn't know. I watched that recently. We'll get into that for shit we watched.
Space Cowboys. Yeah, it's a funny genre. I like space movies. Yeah. It's just neat to imagine being out there. Now, you said revealed to me that you hadn't seen Gravity, which was like the big up your own ass space movie of the last like what's his name? He won, the guy who did Roma.
Yeah, he won.
He won every award imaginable for fucking Gravity.
Yep.
That movie is purely a technical achievement. It is nothing. There's nothing interesting about it story-wise at all. So I would actually be very interested in your opinion on that. I feel like you would be disgusted by it.
Okay.
I really do.
First Man. I really liked First Man. It's a little bit like Ad Astra in that it's a character study. It's not the space stuff is secondary.
See, I was disappointed by First Man.
I would agree.
Yeah, so I was I'm flipped on those two. Like, I started hearing Ad Astra was good, and I got excited because
I think you oversold me on Ad Astra.
I told you.
You're like, it's almost as good as 2001.
No, I didn't say that. No, somebody else said that.
You said it on Facebook. Didn't you? Said if it wasn't for one flaw, it would be in 2001 territory.
I mean, I believe that it is one of the best. I truly believe that flaw
Right. No, I get that.
Its shot.
I'm just saying when you put
I would
never
say that, and I didn't say that.
What did you say?
I said if it weren't for one glaring issue, Ad Astra would be a damn near perfect movie. Go see this one on the big screen, folks.
Didn't you say something about 2001? I swear to God, there was something about 2001 in there.
Oh, movie was 10 times better than First Man and entered 2001 in Apollo 13 territory. But that just means it's like one of my favorites.
That's where I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, you're entering this echelon.
I think that it is in that fucking echelon. I think if that narration wasn't in there, Alex, I would be telling you it's the best space movie since 2001.
And that's fair.
I think I might think that.
But when you frame it that way,
it's in that territory.
It sets up expectations for people.
Well, okay. So, yeah. I'm sorry to Yeah, but you're not a huge 2001 guy.
I'm not, but I understand what it means to people.
Okay, well, it doesn't mean that to you.
No. But Apollo 13's a great movie.
Yeah, well, Apollo 13 is a great fucking movie.
Yeah. So what do you love about the genre, though? Like, what makes the genre so special?
Well, I think part of it is it's fascinating because none of us plebs will ever be up there.
Right, yeah.
So it's just naturally, it's the closest we can get, right?
Right.
And especially with, like, the technological achievements that we've gotten to today, which, by the way, I was sitting there during this thinking about how insane 2001: A Space Odyssey is.
Yeah.
Because I was watching Ad Astra, and I saw last year, I went and saw 2001 on the IMAX.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, really? There's outside of like the action bits, they haven't made space look any better than it did in that movie.
Right.
And there's it's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyways. But yeah, that's the closest we get to that experience.
Yep.
It's incredible that anyone can even go up there. I mean, assuming it's real.
Oh,
people
Jesus
actually
Christ.
go up there. But I mean, you know, Kubrick, he filmed the moon landing.
Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
But yeah, I think that's what kind of fascinates us about we're fascinated by things we'll never be able to do, right?
I think more so than a lot of genres, it's very much a dude centric genre. And I think part of it is like most men, it's mostly been men who have gone into space.
Sure.
I mean, that's part of it. It's also, it's like dudes are very into like ideas and tech, you know? And these are very.
What are you saying? Alex?
Yeah, I know. The women and men are
women
exactly.
Can't like have ideas. They can't.
Okay.
They're not into tech, Alex. Is that what you're saying?
This is literally the worst.
Is that what you're saying, Alex?
Well, that's definitely not what I'm saying.
I'm disgusted.
You know, okay. I think next week we're going to be talking about straw man arguments.
I'm disgusted.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, obviously that's not what I'm saying. Jackson's fucking around.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's what you heard. Okay. But I do think that that's the reason why I don't think women are into it as much. And it's not because they can't be into those things. It's just that is, okay, my dad. I'll use my dad as like a prime example. He said to me, I don't need any of that emotional crap in a movie.
Okay.
I like the ideas. And so he'll tell me, I saw this movie, and I'll be like, yeah, that movie's shit. And it is shit. Like from a script and character perspective,
sure.
But he's like, he likes the idea.
He likes
the idea of the movie, so he likes the movie. And I'm like, well, that's fine. A movie can have a good idea. It doesn't mean it is emotionally affecting, which is something I look for. But I think that a lot of space movies tend to rely on ideas more than character stuff.
Okay, like 2001.
Yes, 2001 is probably the prime example, I would say.
Of the idea movie?
Of the idea movie. Yes, absolutely.
No,
it's
right.
the idea movie. And I don't think that that's necessarily bad, because I think different strokes for different folks kind of thing. But for me, it is something that separates the good from the great, is when you can have both.
Yeah, I don't know. 2001 would be in it.
That's for me,
Can you
though.
make 2001...
I don't know if you
I
can.
don't think it's right. Yeah, I don't think it would be. It wouldn't be the same. Yeah, so you admit that it's just for you. You want that other part of it.
Yeah,
but I mean, it could break a movie.
It can.
Yeah,
I think 2001 relies on the fact that it had never been done before, and its ideas for the time were so out there.
Yes,
that it really is like it's just like Star Wars, the first trilogy. You have to look at it in the capsule of the time that it was made. Because if you look at it now, it's still going to be an amazing technical achievement, but it's always going to be in that time.
I don't know. I think I think 2001 transcends that.
You think so?
I think 2001.
Maybe I need to. I haven't watched it literally in about 10 years.
Just the way shit is framed, the way it doesn't. I mean, of course, it looks like an old movie, because I mean, I could sit here
the
and
fashion,
say,
but that's not what I'm talking about. Like, it still looks great,
right? But like in general, you watch it now, and it's like the only reason I feel like it's a movie of its time is kind of like what we talked about, just the fact that you couldn't release something like that now.
Well, the editing is different too. Like the amount of time that we go between shots now is it's less than half.
I know, it's crazy.
So,
but by the way, if you guys couldn't tell, I was dripping with sarcasm. That's because I wasn't. Alice hates women, clearly, and we might have to have a feminist on the podcast. One of these days, we might introduce you to a male feminist who will be a guest on our show.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Let's bring him on. He can debate Alex on whether or not women are allowed to like space. Because I don't know about you guys, but that's what I heard. Women can't like space. I'm flabbergasted.
So when are we getting off this train? I'll tell you some. I really like the space genre. Like, there are lots of really great movies. I think that there are certain things, certain tropes that I think we need to get away from.
Like?
I think the idea of the slow-paced, slow-burn space movie, and it was one of the things I was thinking while watching Ad Astra, I think it's a little played out. It's kind of like you move slow in space, so slow pacing, and it's like, that's fine, but we've also done that like a million times. I wouldn't mind seeing a faster paced, realistic space movie.
Yeah, but space isn't fast.
No, I think
that would be the counterpoint.
But that doesn't mean that the narrative needs to be slow.
Oh, okay. I see. I thought this one did a good job of having enough like
It had
peppered in shit that was like
it
kept
had
you
stuff
engaged.
going on,
Yeah.
for sure. But there are moments where it really does take its time.
Sure.
And that's not a bad thing. It was just something that I noticed where I was like, we tend to give a little bit more slack to slower scenes in space movies.
Apollo 13 is kind of a fast-paced,
It is.
regular
It's why
movie.
I like it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also why Sunshine is one of my favorites.
I got to see this.
It's
I don't want to know anything about it.
You don't want to know anything.
I don't want to know the plot because I've heard the name of it. That's as much as I know. When was it made?
I want to say early 2000s, in between 2001 and 2005 or 6.
All I know is it better be better than that movie with Stephen Dorff, Supernova.
I never saw Supernova.
Oh God.
Is that a space movie worth checking out?
I think it was Stephen Dorff. No, it's not worth checking out.
You heard it here.
Fucking disaster.
Oh, well, see, what I heard is that it's a great movie.
Oh,
and people
I didn't say that.
Oh my God. I fucking hate society.
Well, what's great about that joke that I played on you there, that's like life now.
It is.
Like if you say something on the internet, it's like the Jordan Peterson interview where she's like, "Oh, so you're saying that women shouldn't do this?" And he's like, "No, that is not what I'm saying."
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it is getting quite ridiculous. It is getting quite. I just
maybe we should shoot all these commenters up into space.
Oh Jesus Christ! I mean, that's a pretty dark thing to do.
You can give them spacesuits and stuff.
I think
they
Tommy,
can give him one of those trays that Brad Pitt holds.
I think Tommy Lee Jones would be on board with that.
He was, yeah. Ooh,
he was kind of a monster.
Kind of.
he was not a good human being.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more do we have to say about space? The final frontier.
I mean, where would you like to see? Do you think that the space genre is kind of like the Western in that it could die, in a certain sense? I mean, it kind of has to a certain. I mean,
I feel like it did, but we're kind of in the resurgence.
We're in a resurgence. I mean, we still only get like a few a year.
Well, we've got the Natalie Portman one coming, right?
Yeah.
With John Hamm.
And then I think Ad Astra was the only other one this year.
Okay. Yeah, no, I feel like there's always going to be a space for a space movie.
Do you? Jesus. Always space. That's the sub headline on this episode. Always space for a space movie. I don't know. What do you think it needs to evolve? Do you think anything needs to be incorporated or changed?
I think
have we done that already?
So I don't think much needs to change because I feel like there's enough different kinds of them where everyone can kind of have their thing that they really like. The problem, I think, like in Ad Astra's case, is that the marketing doesn't really work. Like you go see Ad Astra, after seeing the preview, you think it's like this movie about finding extraterrestrial life and is there an alien fucking with the Earth and what is this?
Right.
You go see the movie and it's not that at all.
It was a giant red herring narratively.
So yeah, so you're sitting there and you're wondering like, okay, well, was it intelligent to market it this way? It's not really what it looked like it was going to be. I think Annihilation kind of had that feel too, where it was like you thought it was going to be like almost like a monster movie or something.
Annihilation, I don't know how you market that movie.
Right. Well, I don't know how you market this.
I think
see a long, boring seeming movie. I mean, honestly,
I think some of the best movies tend to be movies that's like, how do you market this? Like it's not going to be
You're right.
Because they break the mold. That's what, and I think that's what you...
Just like Tim Tebow.
Oh, Jesus. Yes.
I'm really just poking the bear on tonight's episode.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Maybe I'm just agitated. I don't know. I am hungry.
Hey, that's usually hangry. Me. I'm feeling pretty good. I ate a lot of pizza at lunch today.
Oh, that's the smell.
Oh, no. Yeah, the farts.
Yeah, the
pizza farts. No, there's no farting. Yeah. If I ever fart on this show... I'll make sure the mic can hear it.
Don't believe him. I'm swimming in a sea of farts. I think we can get off that topic. Shit we watched. Whoa. Shit we watched.
So I watched one disaster of a movie.
Okay.
It was fucking awful.
What was that?
Ma.
Oh, what's her name?
Yeah. We suck tonight, huh?
Yeah.
The black lady who basically buys booze for the teenagers.
I really like her too.
Yeah, I do too. And she's not bad in the movie. It's just that it's such a stupid plot, and like the things that happen in it are so illogically like laid out that it breaks the movie completely. Ma, and her name is Octavia Spencer. But yeah, it's funny too. Like Diana Silvers is in this. She was just in that the movie from Olivia Wilde that I watched. I can't think of anything tonight, apparently. But
Good
the one
night to
about
record.
the one about Booksmart. And Juliette Lewis is in this. But yeah, so basically the plot of this is the kids are looking for someone to buy them booze. This
Right.
Octavia Spencer's at the gas station. She buys them booze and then says, hey, I want a safe place for you guys to drink this. Come over to the house. And just drink it in the basement.
That's literally one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
So it gets way dumber. I mean, that part, like, kind of I can make work. Okay, so the first time they're over, can I just dive into the spoilers on this?
Yep.
So the first time they're over there, she pulls a gun on one of the friends, like, as a joke. And, like, they're all freaked the fuck out. Like, she makes him strip naked.
Wow.
As a joke, and then she just starts laughing like, no, ha, 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 this isn't loaded, blah, 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 blah. And they stay and continue to hang out at this house. So
this
that's point
woman
one.
that they just met.
Correct. They've met her like twice at this point.
Oh,
Okay.
best friends.
Yeah. So there's that. Every one of the kids in the town's parents went to high school with Octavia Spencer. So the kids are the same age. And their parents are all the same age, and they all live in a small town. Okay. What are the odds of that, first of all, that every single person like involved in this movie is like a kid who's the same age as their friend, who also has the parents who are also the same age as the other parents?
You could have made that like the revenge story. Like,
Okay.
You could have made that the reason.
Okay.
That would have made more sense.
So now this is where I'm going with this. So it ends up that Octavia Spencer was fooled into giving this nerdy kid a blowjob in like a dark closet when they were in high school. And she thought she was giving a blowjob to the guy who she had a crush on in high school. And then she left the closet and everyone in the school was like outside laughing at her. So those are the parents of the kids who are drinking now at her house, right? So this is a revenge tale of...
I never said it was a good idea. I was just saying you could make it a little less coincidental.
But the point is, yeah, it's coincidental. It's completely coincidental.
Well, she's doing this on purpose.
Yeah, but how did she happen to run into them at the gas station?
I think you have to assume that she's been stalking them.
No, because the one daughter moved back to the town. Her mom wasn't even living in the town. And then one of the parents, one of the dads, comes to the vet where Octavia Spencer works. Okay. And Allison Janney is in this movie, by the way, from The West Wing.
Sure.
CJ.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck she was doing. Just dodge bullets like this. But yeah, no, he shows up to the vet and he's like, God, what's it been? Like 20 years? It seems like there's 5 people in this town. This person you went to high school with who you like tortured, like you would run into this person somewhere in the last 15 to 20 years.
Right.
It's just every moment of it. They never call the cops. They always act like, oh, the fact that I'll get in trouble with my parents takes precedent over calling the police. Like, let's not call the police on this psycho bitch because then our parents will find out we had a drink.
Yep.
And it just...
The decision hierarchy makes a ton of sense.
It stinks. It just stinks. I did not like it.
F?
D-, because she's kind of fun in it at points.
Okay.
Where she's kind of like an interesting, fun character. But... And I can't say the performances are bad, but it is just, it's so, like, there's so many things in it where it's like, okay, I kind of like the idea that, like, okay, this kind of lonely older woman who's like a the age of a mother. Like, she doesn't have anyone around. She's kind of a loser. And she says, okay, well, I can justify it to myself to say...
You hear that? Jackson says if you don't have children, you're kind of a loser. Especially if you're an older woman.
Actually, she does have a child.
Oh.
She doesn't have any friends. She's a loner because she doesn't have friends.
Oh. So if you don't have any friends, you're a loser. You heard it here first.
Well, I mean, by definition.
I don't know. I think if you lose at something...
God damn it. All right. We're just going to have next week, it's just the apology episode.
Let the apology tour begin.
But no, so I like that idea, though, that she's bringing in these people because she, she's lonely, whatever. And she uses that as her justification that, hey, they're going to be out drinking, driving behind the wheel unless they come here. And then something happens and goes wrong. But the fact that every logical step throughout the movie isn't followed, it's just a disaster. But yeah, what'd you watch? That's it for me. That's all I can think of.
God damn. I can't believe I have more than you with 2 things.
Oh, look at you.
I watched 2 older movies. I watched Roadhouse. Patrick Swayze, where he's the bouncer, right? And our old pal who wants to help Lady Gaga.
God, it's been so long. I feel like that's one where I've seen it on TV like a million times, and I've never watched it from beginning to end. I've just seen parts. Sam Elliott.
Yeah. It's a truly god-awful movie.
Is it terrible?
It's really bad. I equated it to on Scene It Cast. It's like if a trucker wrote a movie and thought he was the absolute shit. He's like Patrick Swayze. We got about half an hour, 45 minutes into the movie. I'm like, God, I wonder if I'm going to learn anything about why he does what he does, or what's driving him, or where he came from, or anything at all other than he just shows up to this bar to clean up this bar for some money. You don't really learn a whole lot about him.
So this is one of those idea movies, not those character movies.
Full of ideas. There's a bad businessman. The bad businessman shows up in a loud helicopter. He happens to live across a little river from Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze goes out into the country to stay with this old farmer who has a room for rent, which is above his hay for whatever reason. I don't know. It's really weird. Old man, this rich guy, has a mansion just across the river, and he shows up in a helicopter, his first scene, and you're like, bad guy. He's the bad guy because he's rich and it's 1984, and look how rude he is with his helicopter. Lots of tits in this movie. Very much an 80s movie in that regard. There's just kind of I felt so bad for all of the actresses in it. It's just tits out all the time. I'm like, wow,
I love the 80s.
It was so unnecessary. It was distracting. Then there's a scene. Also, I watched this movie because of Family Guy. Because Peter does the whole I'm going to kick everything because I'm like that movie, Roadhouse. And he starts driving with his car.
Okay.
By kicking. Not a lot of kicking in this.
What was Peter thinking?
Yeah.
You don't understand what
movie
the joke
are you
was.
talking about? Because I guess there's some.
He fights a lot, doesn't he?
He
get in some bar fights?
Gets in some bar fights. The fighting is really atrocious. For a movie that's centered around the idea of this man gets in bar fights and he's a badass, you would think that they would have had decent fight scenes, but they're really quite terrible.
They're terrible, huh?
Let's see. There's a scene where he meets a girl. It's a day or two after he met her. He takes her back to his hay-filled loft apartment and turns on the radio and just starts stalking her like a tiger around his place. They obviously have sex. Then she wakes up butt-ass naked in the bed, but he's not there. And it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, Patrick Swayze sexed her up so good. And now he's got to go and be introspective on the porch.
I mean, he is Patrick Swayze.
I mean, yeah, they did have a needless scene where he's shirtless, oiled up, doing Tai Chi.
You gotta have it.
It's the 80s. It's not a good movie. It's a lot of fun to watch, though.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah.
So what grade would you give it, factoring in that lot of fun to watch?
I would give it probably like a D+.
Okay.
I mean,
I love those, though.
Strictly speaking, it's probably like a D-.
Okay.
But it's the fun is, yeah.
I did like Patrick Swayze. Like, in general, I thought he was pretty good. He's a likable actor.
I really like him, and I kind of miss him as a personality.
Agreed.
And then my other viewing was Space Cowboys.
Space Cowboys with Tommy Lee.
Clint Eastwood. And, gosh, what's his name?
Is it Robert Duvall? Who is the third Space Cowboy?
He was in Ad Astra.
Donald Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland. And then they had another guy who I can't remember his
Just
name.
Old people.
Yes.
Start naming old people. Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott really should have been in that movie, actually.
He is a cowboy, so you just throw a NASA outfit on him, and he's totally fits the role. But how is it? Is it good? I don't know if I've ever seen it. James Garner.
Yes. Okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I had more fun with it before they went to space. Watching them kind of like get into shape, watching them get the crew back together. Tommy Lee Jones is really great in it. I like his dynamic with him and Clint Eastwood. They kind of have like a rivalry kind of thing going on. Kind of like one of those, I haven't talked to that son of a bitch in 20 years kind of thing.
Yeah. Grumpy old men type
But then they
deal.
get together and they kind of like, you can tell that they like each other and respect each other. They just give each other a lot of shit and they kind of get over their shit. Still, wildly unbelievable premise.
What are they? Why are they reunited to go into space?
They have to go into space to fix a satellite that has such old technology on it that they're the only ones that understand it. And it's like, that makes no sense.
Why couldn't they just teach someone how to do it?
Right. It's time
manuals.
sensitive. Most of our launches take 100 and whatever the fuck. This has taken us 3 months. Got 3 months to prep, guys. Then, I mean, I'm going to do spoilers. They go out into space and and it's just kind of like, God damn, like I thought you had to be like kind of like athletic to be into space, but like they're like dudes with at least 40 extra pounds on them in space. Maybe 50, 60.
Yeah, that sounds like movie magic to me.
Yeah. And but anyways, they get out there and they find out that the reason that it's there, and it's been hinted at super heavily because big bad head of NASA is talking to like some Russian dude. There are Russian nuclear warheads on this satellite, and that's the real reason that they need to go up there. And so Russian nuclear warheads were installed on a US based satellite. And the guy who knew about it, they're like, oh, you knew about what kind of mission you sent us on or whatever. He's just like, I don't know, General, what's going on here? And then everybody just lets him stay in the command center. He just doesn't
stays.
go to jail. I mean, I think he does at the end, but he's in the room for like the remainder of the mission. Like, they found out you've been colluding with Russians and you're still there?
Hey, it's a good time to collude with the Russians.
It was always okay. Trump was right. He was fine to do it.
He saw Space Cowboys.
Yes, he knew. He knew
said,
his
oh,
rights.
Yeah. Didn't you see Space Cowboys? I can do this.
Like, I saw it in a movie once.
Yep, right. But no, it's funny looking at the cast. I feel like it's got to have like enjoyable characters. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're probably pretty great.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
maybe I'll watch that one.
It was a fun watch. Like I said, the ending not so great. Clint Eastwood directed it though, which shocked me, and I have to say honestly, it's his worst movie that I've seen.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
worse than The Mule?
Oh, I didn't. The Mule
wasn't
fine.
bad. It's
the Mule
fine,
is
right?
fine.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think The Mule is technically a better movie.
Sure.
I think I probably had more fun with this, but I think it's a worse movie.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, I would give it a C+, I think.
Okay. So worth watching if you're into these actors or the premise of old men in space.
Yeah.
If you want another one of those old dudes in space movies.
Yeah. Those Yeah, they're a dime a dozen, really.
Yeah, I mean that and
well, I'm sure there's another one.
But yeah, is that it for the show?
I think that's it.
So next week we are discussing The Shining.
Yes.
So yeah, Kubrick will be discussed next week, I'm sure. As well as thoughts on, and this is kind of unfair because I've read the book Dr. Sleep, but I'll be interested to hear this is how I want to frame this next week. You need to come in with, what do you think the plot of Dr. Sleep is?
You've already told me the plot.
Yeah, but where does it go?
Oh, okay.
How does it end? Like,
okay.
How does it fit with The Shining? You know, outside of there's bad Shining guys that can take kids and kidnap them.
This was written by his son, right? Stephen King's son, or was it Stephen King and him together?
No, I believe this was written by, this was co-written, I believe, by the director of the movie, who's the guy who did The Haunting of Hill House. And what he had to do, apparently, was try and fuse the book with the movie, because Stephen King's The Shining is vastly different from the movie The Shining.
Well, now I have to Wikipedia the book.
I gotta
Cliff Notes the book.
You gotta go off the movie, because it's a sequel to the movie with elements of the book worked in.
Yeah, but now I'm like, I have to like, you're asking me to put a puzzle together with half the pieces.
Yes.
Put it together.
That's the fun.
Put it together.
Because I want to see where you go with it. Or actually, you know what? We could even do this experiment too. If you were making a sequel to The Shining, what would you do?
Nothing.
Really? You'd just leave it alone?
There are certain movies I just don't touch.
That's probably true. But if you had to.
If I had to, gun to my head, put this puzzle together, Alex.
We'll talk about it next week.
Figure it out.
That one comes out in a few weeks, I think, too.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but yeah, I've been Jackson, and Alex doesn't hate women, just to let you guys know.
I like how he throws it in at the end.
Yeah, well, we wanted to really make him think.
Like the viewership kind of dips off, like shit we watch, like half the people leave.
No, but those tea partiers come.
Yeah, the people that don't care if I hate women, they're still here.
They're here. Well, they show up because their friends all call them and say, "Hey, you got to listen to this podcast."
This guy knows what he's talking about.
This
women
fucking guy.
Am I right? What about, hey, I got boobs and a vagina. What are you doing?
But yeah, we'll see you next week.
That's my impression of a sexist.
We won't see you. It's a podcast.
I'll see you in your dreams.
That's creepy.